Hello everyone, my name is Dinara Kusain. I live in Kazakhstan, the former Soviet Union Republic, located in Central Asia. In Capstone 2 class, me and my teammates selected the stay-at-home fathers topic. This topic was very interesting for me because in my country, stay-at-home fathers is a rare case. And I was very enthusiastic and curious. Our group project was focusing on depression problem among this target group. We specifically have worked on creating solutions for decreasing depression rate among stay-at-home fathers in Phoenix, Arizona. And we have defined Phoenix Public Library as a platform for our activities. I hope that you will find the information in this presentation interesting and valuable. The US Census Bureau defines stay-at-home fathers as married men with children under the age of 15 and who act as the primary caregiver while their significant other works outside the home. Mr. Mom is how the US Census Bureau described stay-at-home fathers in America only 7 years ago. And that wasn't the first time they used this terminology. In 2016, the number of stay-at-home fathers reached almost 209,000 males in the country. Fortunately, the rising numbers has made this segment of the population more noticeable and has stopped the US Census Bureau from using the Mr. Mom label. Those numbers, though, are debatable, with the broader definition of stay-at-home fathers putting the number as high as 2 million. The broader definition includes, for example, fathers in same-sex couples, cohabiting couples, as well as fathers providing child care for older children with special needs. So using these broader definitions, stay-at-home fathers make up 1.5% of all married households in Arizona and 2.1% of all married families in Phoenix. Why do they do that? Fathers report various reasons for choosing to be stay-at-home dads. Increases in opportunities for women throughout the country and shifting ideas about gender roles have played major roles in providing men the opportunity to be voluntary stay-at-home fathers. For many couples who choose to have a stay-at-home parent, the decision is not simply about wanting to spend more time with the children, but also a logical financial decision. One study in 2013 found that Arizona was actually one of the least affordable states in the country for child care. So staying at home can be the most logical choice for some Arizona parents. Having a growing number of men in these caregiver roles lead to fathers developing improved parenting skills, like those listed here. You can see them in this blue ellipses. That's about the positives. However, this group also suffers certain problems. That's not an easy job. Stay-at-home fathers face many problems relating to the obtained role as primary caregiver for their children. In some matters, their experience has been found to be more difficult as compared to that of stay-at-home mothers. For example, stay-at-home fathers experience feelings of social stigma, social isolation, boredom, and decreased close relationships. While women might also experience these problems, they are exacerbated for men by a lack of access to parenting benefits, communities, and services which are typically aimed at mothers exclusively. So these issues can manifest themselves as psychological problems and social angst and lead to questions of one's masculinity. And ultimately lead to depression, which is almost 24% more common among male parents. Depression has become the fourth major cause of disability in the world. and by 2020, it will become the second most common cause of cardiovascular disease. Paternal depression has been shown to have many negative effects for children as well as for the father. Children with fathers who suffer from depression have a higher chance of suffering from depression too. And boys with fathers suffering from depression often have increased behavioral problems. Stay-at-home fathers are extremely vulnerable to depression due to a vast number of emotional, physical, social, and economical factors. You can see the list of factors on the slide. Please take a look. A study of stay-at-home fathers' well-being organized in 2008 pointed social support to be the best predictor of increased relationship satisfaction and decreased psychological distress. So, improving stay-at-home fathers' well-being and helping them to cope with paternal depression would lead to many positive outcomes, such as improving family relationships between parents and children, and between the spouses, increasing diversity in childcare scenarios for families, helping American households to make better financial decisions, encouraging more men to take on caregiving roles, and developing social tolerance towards staying-at-home fathers and working mothers. Various surveys and studies have examined how best to address depression among stay-at-home fathers, with the overwhelming consensus being social interaction and support. And social support was found to be the best indicator for decreasing depression rate. The form of support can vary: partner, extended family, friends. Successful stay-at-home fathers who report low levels of depression typically have support networks of family and friends or are members of an outside support group. Often these groups must be created by an individual who sees a need in his community. But establishing these groups can be difficult since, unlike stay-at-home mother, stay-at-home father are not typically congregated in one neighborhood or on one street. Due to an increase in the number of stay-at-home fathers and the rising threat of depression among this group, a need for further support for stay-at-home fathers is obvious. While support groups for parents do currently exist, many studies point out how stay-at-home fathers feel isolated within these groups, since the groups are dominated by stay-at-home mothers who do not socialize with the stay-at-home fathers. Some stay-at-home fathers have explored volunteering opportunities as a way to socialize. But while this men might be welcome as volunteer coaches or carpenters, they still feel like outsiders at these mother-dominated events. For example, the National At-Home Dad Network seeks to promote stay-at-home fathers' specific groups throughout the country and provide necessary resources to encourage and help stay-at-home fathers. But currently, no active organization exists in Arizona, and much less in Phoenix specifically. What did we do? Our project team suggested establishing the Fathers Club in Phoenix, Arizona, where both the father and the child can be included and connect with others. The first part of these regular meetings will involve bonding between father and child in a group environment. The second part will include the children's playtime, so the fathers can socialize with each other and are giving support for their stay-at-home father status. We thought that the club could provide several services, including socializing, offering new knowledge in childcare, sharing parenting experience, and teaching coping techniques for stress and depression. And additionally, promoting the club's activities through the media could help in establishing positive public opinion towards stay-at-home fathers. So what kind of outcomes we're expecting to have? First, raising social awareness could help in building positive public opinion towards stay-at-home fathers. Because different studies reveal the public stigma about stay-at-home fathers and working mothers and its impact on the well-being of the couples. Offering new role models from stay-at-home fathers and letting them share their experience with families and communities could be one of the steps. Second, mental support for stay-at-home fathers could help in developing coping strategies, preventing distress, burnout, and depression symptoms. There is research evidence that lack of absence of childcare experience and limited knowledge about parenting was one of the depressive factors for stay-at-home fathers, especially in the first 12 months postpartum. So, developing specially designated counseling services and educational programs for males providing at-home primary child care is one of the options. Existing market demonstrates limited or no offers in this area. Finally, promoting new socializing options in community centers for stay-at-home fathers could be an effective tool against social isolation of stay-at-home fathers. Of course, socializing issues are not unique to men. In fact, the mental and emotional issues that stay-at-home fathers face is also common among mothers. But community continues to be a driving force to combat these problems for both men and women. Socializing is important for all parents and can often take the role of support from one's spouse or partner, one's friends, or one's family. Why Phoenix Public Library? Actually, the library currently has many opportunities for parents to socialize with each other. As you may notice, a quick snapshot of upcoming events at the library shows many regularly occurring parent-child events. Pictures from parent-child events, though, reveal something quite interesting about these groups. Even though they might be advertised as being open to all parents, one rarely sees men participating. Because most parental groups are dominated by women, men often feel further isolation and might even experience covert or overt hostility from the participants. Some interviews with stay-at-home fathers revealed several stories of men feeling like outsiders in these parental groups because of the prominence of women. One participant discussed how difficult he found connecting to the stay-at-home mothers because they had different interests from him. Another man noted that he didn't feel comfortable at these social gatherings because he felt the mothers perceived him to be flirting with them when he attempted to talk to them or participate in the group discussions. As such, while women often find community in these parental groups, the smaller number of stay-at-home fathers mean the men are vastly outnumbered and feel ostracized and sometimes encounter outright hostility. In speaking to men about problems they encounter in being stay-at-home fathers, many reported a lack of socialization with other stay-at-home fathers, thus decreasing not only their opportunity to speak to other adults in similar situations, but also a lack of the exchange of ideas and practices that make the socializing moments incredibly important for parents. Some men find identity through other means of employment that allow them to stay home. Example given, working from home. But other men will volunteer with various community groups and at their child's school. But these volunteering opportunities are usually gendered, with the men taking on roles of coaches or construction for some school events. Some organizations exist to combat these problems by establishing stay-at-home fathers-specific social groups. These organizations include the National At-Home Dad Network and number 2, City Dads Group. According to the National At-Home Dad Network, one such chapter did exist in Arizona, but the group does not appear to be active any longer. So no such City Dads group exists in Arizona currently. In place of these organizations, some stay-at-home fathers turn to platforms like Meetup to organize gatherings. Even though support groups are important for stay-at-home fathers, starting such groups can be incredibly difficult. And one major hurdle to starting such group is that, unlike stay-at-home mothers, stay-at-home fathers do not typically live in close proximity to each other. This geographic isolation can make regular meetings and socializing functions difficult. Another problem is pride, which can stop a man from seeking out social groups. But having male-dominated groups can sometimes combat this problem. So what can the library do? Our proposal was for the creation of paternal group to provide a safe, inviting place for fathers to socialize with other fathers. We recommended the Phoenix Public Library to begin offering father-specific events, such as Daddy and Me Story Time and Donuts and Dads weekend events. These activities can provide an environment where stay-at-home fathers will feel more welcomed to socialize with other stay-at-home fathers in the community. These socializing events would allow fathers to bond with their children while also combating feelings of isolation which plague many stay-at-home fathers. We believe that this socialization can decrease depression among stay-at-home fathers, which can have positive effects for fathers, children, and families. Promotion of these events through the Meetup platforms will help. Many stay-at-home fathers groups currently use this platform to advertise similar events in other cities around the United States. So including the events on the platform would help reach the fathers in search of socializing opportunities in the community. And these programs could be assessed after a year to determine their viability. Overall, the library will benefit from an increase in participation from fathers and children in library events. And the community will benefit from the potential decrease in isolation and other factors that often lead to depression among stay-at-home fathers. Making the small additions to the library's current calendar of events and promoting the events could have a positive effect on the mental well-being of both families and the surrounding community. And we think that a byproduct of these paternal events could be a community of stay-at-home fathers who are able to work together to create additional community support groups, leading to happier families and decreased depression for all involved. Thank you very much for your attention.